Sorry about that. Poor streaming people didn't get to hear all of where everybody was. That's because the streaming computer is behind me and I keep forgetting to turn it on. Anyway, good morning to everybody out there.
I'll remind you tomorrow.
Will you remind me tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Tuesday the 22nd, 15 degrees outside. We are plunged back into kind of a wintry spell here. It's October, 1009.9 steady on the bar. Actually, I said it was steady, but it's gone up to 1010.1 now, I see. 50% cloud cover, and we have had some quite heavy rain early in the morning, but it's not so bad now. Did I mention it's only 15 degrees? I think I did. All right. Well, yesterday, several Australian newspapers, in fact 20 of them, made a rare showing of unity by publishing a redacted front page. This is a protest against press restrictions. So they had a front page, but all the words were blacked out, and there was a big red stamp saying secret. The ones I saw was the Sydney Morning Herald and the Daily Telegraph. Back in June, there were police raids on the ABC, the Broadcasting Corporation, and the home of News Corp Australia journalist whose articles had relied on leaks from whistleblowers. One related to alleged war crimes and the other reported an alleged attempt by the government or a government agency to spy on Australian citizens. So it was a sort of a united effort to draw attention to the fact that the people in Australia are not quite as free as they thought they were. According to them, yes. Well, there it was. Canadians go to the polls today. This might be a very, very tight election. It does not appear that either the Liberals under Mr. Trudeau or the Conservatives have enough support to form a government. They've got an amazing number of different sorts of candidates, particularly Sikhs from India. Quite a diverse range of people in Canada, including a large block of Sikhs. Anyway, that vote is on today. I don't know whether you can vote from outside the country, but there you have it. The leader of the Conservatives, believe it or not, has dual citizenship, America and Canada, which was a bit of a surprise to everybody. Has been a Conservative and all. Certainly, if he was in Australia, he wouldn't be allowed to lead the party because they only allow you to be Australians. They don't even allow you to be born elsewhere.
That's your
Okay,
choice, huh?
no, here it's okay. You can be anywhere, born anywhere, as they are. Okay, 5 more people died in Santiago. There's quite large demonstrations there, just all on social inequity and price hikes and all the rest of it. A garment factory was set on fire. It killed 5 people. You sort of do wonder about what the protesters are trying to get. But anyway, protesters are still going rampant in Hong Kong. They threw petrol bombs at police. So things are getting pretty much out of control in the various areas. And because of the publicity, there's copycat type demonstrations from one place to another. Quite good news though, Indian police have shut down 2 call centres and arrested 7 people suspected of involvement in the call centre scams. These are getting quite serious. There's been people in the United States have lost up to $1 million by people that have set up quite elaborate scams. And they have at least, I'm sure there's lots of them, but they have at least got down on 2 of them. For those of you who have WhatsApp, and I know a lot do, Lebanon decided it was going to tax WhatsApp calls. They were going to charge 20 US cents per call, the same with Facebook Messenger and Apple's FaceTime. But there was huge protests. It was just sort of like the last straw in Lebanon. They decided that, they've had a lot of price hikes on food and transport and all the rest of it. And the tax on WhatsApp was just the last straw. So they all had a huge protest, and the government has backed down on the WhatsApp charge. So there you go. Two NASA astronauts have made history by completing the first all-female spacewalk. They spent 7 hours outside the space capsule, replacing a failed control unit. One of them is an electrical engineer, and the other one has a doctorate in marine biology. I really don't know how they managed to choose these people, but she must have been quite technical, or otherwise she was like me when David's doing something like that, passing the equipment. He thinks I'm challenged, no, or handicapped. Did I get from handicapped to challenged? I think I did. Over the course of our years at sea, I went from mechanically handicapped to mechanically challenged, which I think is an improvement. I'm taking it. Is it? Good.
Yeah.
All right. There's a team of scientists working on using satellites to monitor whale strandings from space. At this stage, the counting is manual, but it's useful for out-of-the-way places like Patagonia and Tasmania and the Falklands and New Zealand's Fiordland down the bottom southwest coast, etc. It does need to be computerized, and they will work on that, but the coverage can already detect rotting carcasses down to about 0.5 metre in length. Now, you wonder why on earth this is of any interest after the fact, but whales are top predators and they are very involved in the marine ecosystem. So if they suffer, then there is a need to track back and to try and find the cause, so that they know what's going on. I'm just going to do a little bit of a pause. We are going to start at 10 past with the weather. Is there anybody wanting to check in? Nothing heard. Is there any relays? I know there's Kapai out there. There's Mana out there. Any relays? No, Mana actually are going north to the Marshalls, going to stop at Tuvalu. Good morning, Curtis and Julie, if you are out there. And dinner hour was where Kapai left, so maybe, or they're also with Six Isles and Urbanish. They left, and we'll see when they arrive. All right, not much else to report news-wise. I did get a chuckle at an article about the fastest ants in the world. They are found in northern Sahara. The reason I chuckled at this is I can't imagine, I was a scientist, but I can't imagine being a scientist studying ants. They discovered, however, that these silver ants travel 108 times their body length per second. They have a stride rate of 10 times that of Usain Bolt. And they can run in the sun. Most animals like to take a bit of shelter, but they can run in the midday sun at 1 metre per second, which is equivalent to a cat running at 120 miles per hour. I'm not sure what that's relevant to, but they have a very interesting running style. As you know, they have 6 legs, and they use 3 legs at a time on the ground, sort of like a tripod. Now, 3 and 3 and 3, and just scoot along. How they manage to work this out,
I know why.
I don't know. Why do you think they run fast?
Well, look.
Hang on, this is going to be serious.
When you go to the beach, let's face it, a real hot day, the sun, say the sand is not exactly white, it's got some dark colors to it. It gets very, very hot. You're in bare feet. Do you go slow on that sand? No, you run as fast as you can to get your blanket.
Well, that could be why the fastest ants in the world are in the northern Sahara on the sand. Well, thank you, David, for that very scientific explanation of why the fastest ants in the world are in the Sahara. Okay, I am going to have a look at something a bit more intelligent here and look at the streaming reports that have come in. Scoops are in Sabu Sabu. Good morning, you guys. 100% overcast and raining. Oh, yes, up there. It is too. 1014, 27 degrees in the cabin. Whistler, back windsurfing. Nananui, Take, 10 knots east-southeast, 10% cloud cover, 1013.5, 29 degrees. Oh, I don't think I could cope with that. And Pacific Harbour, boy, they must have really enjoyed it up there. Good morning, John and Leilani. 100% cloud cover, raining. 1012. Wind in the harbour is easterly 5. Outside looks to be about 15. Numia, good morning, Diego, with the blown up radio. 1016, 22 degrees, 15 knots from the southeast, partly cloudy. Imagine is in Port General, we've talked about that one, and Veluk is at Ngatu Velo Bay, that's right, Ngatu Velo Bay. So good morning to all you guys on streaming, and also to you folk out there at Anchor. Not too many on streaming today, way down from previous, so means that people are on the go. So I'm going to pass the microphone now to David, and we'll see exactly what the weather is for those that have just left, and for those going today, and for those going to arrive at certain times. Here's David.
All right, good morning. And, well, 22nd of October, getting on there. Well, today we'll do something slightly different. We're going to look at 500 millibar, all right, but it's going to be a prognosis, not the analysis. So let's check out Monday, the 28th of October. Monday, 28th. Looking at an arrival window for that time frame, there sits a shortwave trough. Now, axis just, I'd say maybe a degree and a half, maybe even two, to the west of New Zealand. On Tuesday, the 29th, the shortwave moves just a wee bit east, a little bit more, axis right over around, well, 90 Mile Beach, the west side of New Zealand. If all this holds true, then that would indicate the arrival date should be Monday the 28th. And we've been talking about arrival days now since late last week. Winds at that point look to be northwest, about 20-25 knots. And at the front axis, we should see westerlies, about 30 knots, give or take 30 knots. So for the moment, that is the latest data for arrival. Monday the 28th, as early as you could make it. Now, working backwards, like I've told you, or I've suggested that you do, working backwards, we find a high north of New Zealand on the 27th, that's Sunday. Pretty mellow, 10-20 millibar central pressure. Anticyclonic winds for that system, obviously at 33 south, there's virtually no wind. It's a motor if you happen to be right there. On the 26th, which is Saturday, back another day, yachts will be on the east side of this high, which is located at that point to the west, about 33 and 170 east. That's 33 and 170 east. And Friday, 25th, still going backwards in this analysis, the high is near 28, 163, which is more or less east of Coffs Harbour, to give you an idea without having to go to the chart. Thursday, still on the same spot. So there you go. Passage winds mostly southerly quadrant in the 20 knot range. So there you go. That's really the sum of this particular passage. And we're still looking at that all-important arrival date. Now today, looking at the synoptic picture, we have a cold front that's found right across the cruising route, passes near Raoul Island in the Kermadec, and it extends to just past Norfolk Island. Now between this band and the islands, this morning on satellite imagery shows plenty of cloud, and I would say occasional convective activity. So that translates into squally conditions off and on. In the tropics, our Solomon's Trough is still quite active. It runs over the Santa Cruz Islands, then on to northern Fiji. Another trough is found over Tuvalu, and that extends toward the north of Samoa, just to the north of Samoa. So we'll look at Tonga quickly, and we see the kingdom under the effects of a very nice ridge, making for essentially southeasterly winds over the chain. So the weather for today and tomorrow there should be mostly fine, but there will be scattered showers. They'll be occasional, off and on, in other words. Winds about 15 knots. Later today, probably 15 to 20, especially northern Vanuatu, the north part of Vanuatu, Babao, especially around northern Babao. Tomorrow, still 15 knots southeasterlies, and on Friday, we could possibly see the winds in the 20 knot range. So they start to pick up a bit toward the end of the week. Over to Fiji now. That trough that I talked about affects the northern bits. There's plenty of cloud about on imagery, so expect your weather to have cloudy periods, and you'll have scattered showers throughout the group. Rotuma, if anybody is up there, well, you're under the trough, and it's typical trough conditions there, not very pleasant. But back to the group, the winds in general, southeast 15 to 20 for most of today, I would say favoring the 20 knot range in open water later this afternoon. Now, you know where the wind shadow areas are, so it obviously doesn't include those areas. Now, tomorrow, I think the wind backs a wee bit from southeast to maybe east-southeast, mostly in the 15 knot range. But some areas could be around 20 knots. Example would be at Tuira Pass, southwest B, Lebu. Always get a lot of wind down there. Wind bends around, accelerates in that area of BD Lebu. That's the southwest corner. Anyway, expect winds to pick up Friday and Saturday. You could see 20 to 25 knots in many places come then. Now, the Nasori radar is still out of commission. It's been that way now for a couple of weeks. But Nandi and Mombasa radars are still operational. They're still okay. And they do show numerous returns this morning. But western BD Lebu and the Asawas look pretty good. Most of the shower activity is a little bit further to the west of those areas. And then there is quite a bit of shower activity in northern Vanua Lebu in that area. So departure winds today, if you go, if you haven't gone yet, say you're south of Kundabu, we'll say, maybe about 60, 70 miles, should be about east-southeast in the 15 knot range there. Tomorrow, as you continue to head a little bit further south, lighter yet, still southeast, but maybe about 10 knots. Very pleasant departure winds for the Fiji area. Vanuatu looks good on imagery. There are clouds, but there's more blue sky, plenty of blue sky. The only exception is Anishan, and I see quite a bit of buildup there and in that general area. So maybe some showers for the southern areas today, probably light showers if they do occur. And we may even see showers tomorrow for the Luganville area in Port Vila. We'll see. Winds are nice and light though, east to southeast 10 to 15, and the sea is about 1.5 meters. Tomorrow they may veer a little bit. It looks like southeasterlies, may getting up to 15 to 20. And over to New Caledonia, shows cloud, a fair amount of cloud, a bit of it rain bearing as well. So winds in our lagoon area, southeast, I'd say in the 15 knot range. A few areas 15 to 20. Tomorrow about the same. Expect partly cloudy conditions today and tomorrow. And of course, a chance of scattered showers looking at that cloud. Now, lastly, the Minerva yachts, I think, will hopefully have heard what I did when I went backwards from New Zealand, and a lot of that applies to you. But so you'll have had virtually the same issue as the yachts coming in from other areas. So again, in review, the cold front looks to arrive Monday, the 28th. Now, you and Minerva have plenty of time to beat this, but of course, you're going to be facing headwinds to a large extent. As an example, come Friday, if you're at 30 south, I'm looking at southwesterlies about 18 to 20 knots. In the mean winds 18 to 20. Saturday, it looks like southerly quadrant winds. So they're a pain, obviously. Now you'll get some relief as the wind shifts to the northwest into the Saturday, Sunday time frame. Fairly light in the beginning, and then it starts to pick up, and then builds as that cold front arrives, as we said, on the 28th. So that's the story for the Minervans. Looks like it's fairly nice at this point in time. I'm not sure if we've gotten reports this morning. No reports. So we can't do any comparison, unfortunately. That's, again, for those that are new, we like to hear what you're getting, and that is so I can compare the actuals with what the model outputs are saying. So there you go. That's all I've got for today. We'll do a similar thing tomorrow. And then I guess all the boats that are planning on this being a departure, we will have left more than likely today. I don't know if anybody that is going tomorrow or the next day, it's going to be a different ball game altogether. You'll have had to let that cold front go by, which is the possibility. But remember, when it does go by, and you're north of it and don't get much effect of it, you do have the new high that's coming in, and generally on the east side of the new highs, you've got southerly. So there's your headwinds again. So I'm afraid this particular couple of weeks hasn't been particularly good in the headwind department. But they're boats, they tack, and it's all doable. So here's the chief.
I'm glad to have the microphone back because there was a couple of boats reported in. Couldn't hear Tuatara. They left Pandar yesterday, and Kapai is there as well. Interesting, Kapai can't talk because he's the only one on watch, and the autopilot goes berserk. Do you remember those days? Yours truly, me, managed to destroy an autopilot brain until David decided to reroute all of our... It's interesting, isn't it, that you have this nav station and all your lines go down one little area, all your radio lines, your autopilot lines, and so on and so forth. It's really stupid. Anyway, we rerouted them to the other side and didn't have any problems after that. And I did forget, and I'm going to sneeze in a minute, we did forget to tell you, thanks to Imagination, there at South Minerva, thank you John and Lorella, there is no buoy now at South Minerva, that humongous buoy that was washed up on the windward side. It is no longer there, so it has departed the sea with a midwinter storm probably, and is out there somewhere. It's a bit scary to think about, but you can't really think about it because it's one buoy in a large ocean. So there you go. It is not there. Thank you for that report. Imagination. Kapai, they're on their way, 27 and 173 basically. 5 knots from the southwest. 215 true actually, the wind there. So thank you for that. If you have no radio, this is for the boats, and I know you can't listen on the radio to this request, but if you are still at Anchor and listening on streaming, let me know, and let me know any email address that you do have at sea, and make sure you've got VHF contact with somebody that's going at the same time. There's so many boats going. It is a good idea just to keep in touch with somebody who you'll have a VHF. Just arrange to do a skid if you can on the VHF, sort of in the early evening when it's a good propagation time for the VHF. And yeah, that's a good way of doing it without a radio. But also just send me, if you've got a sat phone, just send me your position. And if anything pops up, we can let you know. Tuatara, they are currently at about 21 and 176. They've got 10 knots of south to southeast. Sounds like quite nice sailing. Blue skies, a bit of cloud around, but going at a reasonable 5.6 knots. Kapai is 5.5. So, yep, all good, steady stuff. Did I mention that Maryland has left? That came through too. They left Niafu. They'll probably catch up to, yeah, where are they? I'm not sure they're going to go to Minerva, but Tuatara are going to Minerva. Anyway, Maryland, I think, will probably try and get straight through if they can. Southeast at 15. 30% cloud cover out of Niaku this morning, and so they are romping along at 8 knots. So good sailing to you guys. Is there anybody else wanting anything that David may not have covered? Kohala. Yeah, I wondered about you. I'm just going to tell David where you are, first of all. You are at 2-6, roughly, and 1-6-7. Go ahead. Ooh, you faded away on me, I'm afraid, and I'm just looking at where that report came in from. I think it was on, no, it wasn't on there. It must have been on the emails. If you have questions, folks, it's probably easier to put them into an email if you are sending an email. Just looking for Kuhela. There's a lot of stuff that's come in this morning. Okay. All right, he's going to, well, I'll tell you, David, what he says. They had to vote it all yesterday. The wind came up about 1 o'clock at 0:30 this morning. He's pointing as high as he can. He's currently hitting 225, and then he's going to swap over when the southwest comes later tonight. Might be earlier than expected by the sound of it. All well on board. Yeah, you'll just have to deal with that. I presume you heard the weather. I'll just make sure David has you at 2621 and 16706. Is there anything you could add? He might not have heard.
Tomorrow's going to be more southerly.
Yeah, tomorrow he said a bit more southerly. So there you have it. Was there anything else you needed? Over. Okay.
When he gets to Norfolk.
Yeah, when you get to Norfolk.
Say on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Depends which side you go on.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, and you'll have to decide which side of Norfolk you're going to go on. We used to do that, flip a coin on what it would wind up being. But there's less wind on the west side of Norfolk than on the east side. And on Thursday, early Thursday, the winds probably are going to be southeast because the high center is just to the west of Norfolk Island. So you're on the east side of that anticyclonic flow. So that's Thursday for you. Over.
Okay, hopefully he got that with a bit more power from here. Very blustery outside at the moment. Is there anybody else? Kapai, I was just thinking about you, and I was thinking where you mentioned you have a Roger Hill catamaran, and I was wondering where Roger Hill works from now because they're putting another bridge across there. I happen to know the details of that because my cousin lives right on the edge of it. They moved all the houses around and in front of her, and she's now left looking at a wondrous scene of cranes and workmen. But obviously Roger Hill would have had to have left from there. Anyway, that's by the by. Good morning. Go ahead. Is it 20? Relay, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, well, it's a little bit confusing. I start officially on the hour, which was about half an hour ago. I start on the hour. David will start, because we've had complaints, well, comments I would call them, that people are missing the end of the weather because of propagation changes. He will now start, we're edging it forward. I'd hoped he would start at 1/4 past, but he's now going to start at 10 past the hour. I start at 1:45 to take any or chit-chat or positions or other questions between 1:45 and the top of the hour. 1900 UTC is the top of the hour. 1900 is when I start, but we start 15 minutes for anybody earlier that wants to give a position. Hopefully that's not too confusing. We're just having to follow the changes in propagation at the moment. So this, I'm not changing what the website says. It says we start officially 1/4 the hour. It's just at this time of the year with the sun coming south, things are changing a bit, but they do change from day to day a little bit. So go forward, go back. So if you need any fills, just let us know and we'll try and repeat things. So thanks. By the way, eye candy, Andrew, what sort of wind conditions have you got now that you're out of it? Over. Okay, if you could, the other vessel, could you go ahead while we've got eye candy handy for relay? The other vessel, go ahead. Repeat what this. This is Victoria.
Which is southeast, southwest or southwest?
Yep, we're just looking at, I actually managed to get most of that. I kept you going because I just was a little bit uncertain that I'd heard things correctly, but no problem at all there. And good morning to Victoria. For some reason, well, I've got you, Angus, and you said Saturday AM, and I also had a bit of a struggle with the course, but I managed to get it right. 130 true. Actually, I put 132.
Verify the wind direction.
And David is wondering about the wind direction, the current wind direction. I wrote down southeast. Could you just confirm it is southeast? Over.
I have southwest.
Yeah, it's interesting because the models are showing southwest, which makes David a bit concerned for the future. Anyway, the question was, what do things say for Saturday AM arrival time? And that's what he will cover now. For anybody actually that's listening, Saturday AM arrival in I was going to say in Victoria, in Opua for Victoria.
Well, at the moment, for Saturday, very close in, not too far off of off the north tip of the North Island there. We're looking at southwest winds, very light, probably about 10 to 15. That's Saturday. Looking a little bit later, the winds get lighter as the day rolls on. The high comes closer. The high comes closer to the top of New Zealand. Then, come Sunday, early Sunday, the winds change to the north-northwest or northwest. So that's the story between Saturday and Sunday. Over. I just looked at his southeast winds.
Mm. Sorry, I had to get the microphone back off David. He's still worried about his southeast winds at the moment, which he cannot see at all. No, I did not copy over. Say again slowly. Ah, the winds are south. Okay. Yep, that's a little better. Yeah, he's really scratching his heads here. Oh, his head, should I say. He's only got one. Couldn't cope with two. All that empty weight flopping about. All right, so I think that doesn't change what's happening on Saturday anyway, so thank you for that. All right, I think, was there anybody else? We've got this real crackly noise has come up, so that's probably just as well. All right, thank you, folks. Thanks very much for the help, as always, Andrew. And we will be back again tomorrow morning. Just to confirm, our email is ghradio@extra.co.nz. You will find a lot of stuff on the website ghradio.co.nz. And we've had quite a few introductory emails from you folks, which is really, really nice. Let us know how we can help, and we're very appreciative of those that have sent a donation in via the website. You've got all the details there in the different currencies that you might want to use. Thank you very much for those people that have made use of that. So we do appreciate the support. We don't have support from any commercial outfit. We like to remain independent of anybody, so we don't push anything that we may not feel confident in. We like to just work by ourselves, but we then rely on folks to help us pay for all the different things that come up. So that's really super of you to do that. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We will be back again tomorrow, and you have a good day. Cheers all. Hang on. I just have to go back to the streaming. See if there's any questions. Oh, do you see any signs of leaving next week from Fiji? Oh, it's a bit far ahead. You might want to handle that one tomorrow.
Well, I certainly can't do it now.
No, not now. Okay. He'll have a look at that tomorrow. Definitely have a look at signs for leaving Fiji tomorrow. Let's imagine. Okay, folks, I'm turning off the streaming.